The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering first-timer lesson packages for beginner skiers and snowboarders. Online registration available at skisundown.com. Winter made better.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we celebrate the Lava Center's 5th year with manager Vanessa Query as they ready for their celebrations as part of this weekend's Winter Carnival in Greenfield.
And we'll also get a preview of Friends and Comrades on the stage, High Tea and Wallace Field, before you can catch their extra catchy tunes on stage at the Iron Horse in Northampton tomorrow night.
But first...
Do we have to?
We gotta.
It's fine. I mean, McGovern's got to be having a way worse week than we are after all.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, it has been.
Although you're not in D.C., right? You're in the 2nd Congressional District?
Yeah, because the Republicans spent this week on their retreat at the Trump Doral Hotel and Resort in Miami. So we got to go back to our districts.
So the federal government paid for the Republicans to go to a Trump hotel for a retreat?
Well, no, I know they had to pay out of their own campaign accounts to do that. And apparently that resort is struggling. So you got all the Republicans to pony up and help enrich his family. So that's nice.
That plus Mark Zuckerberg handing over a big meta check. It's been a good week
to be a Trump. I tweeted that Nixon would be proud.
Well, it's time for our weekly conversation with the U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, Worcester's own Congressman Jim McGovern, in a segment we call McGoverning with McGovern. Like you said last week on the show, Congressman, it's like drinking from a fire hose with all the news that has been coming out. But the big news story, I think, this week has to do with the federal funding freeze memo. We spoke with State Senator Jake Oliveira moments after that memo came out, and his office on the state level was scrambling to figure out what this means. An NPR story saying that the memo sent Democrats into fight mode. The Office of Management and Budget rescinded its call for that pause on payments for federal grants and other programs. But the White House said that only the original memo calling for the freeze has been rescinded, not the effort to review federal spending. You also spoke to the Daily Hampshire Gazette yesterday saying that you think Trump will do this again. Tell us what you know about this memo, about this federal freeze, and about what is affected.
Well, so we really don't know a lot about the impact, and what he's doing and what he's not doing, quite frankly, because he's not been very clear. I think he doesn't understand the separation of powers, and the executive branch has to implement, what Congress does and passes. He can't just change things on his own or ignore appropriations. And I think that's one of the things that he doesn't understand, and hopefully he's getting a history lesson or a lesson in civics as we speak, number one. Number two, when he did the original memo, even the agencies that he oversees had no idea what it meant. I'll give you an example. That morning, I called the USDA to find out whether or not SNAP would be adversely impacted, because in the memo, he only makes an exemption for Medicare and Social Security. 9 o'clock in the morning, I talked to USDA, and they said they did not know. I called again at noon, and they said they did not know. And I called again later in the afternoon and got a message machine and said, please let me know. And they never got a response. Mm-hmm. So even the agencies had no idea this was coming. We did get calls from people who were concerned because the Medicaid portal shut down. Health centers and hospitals, the deal is people don't get health care if Medicaid is not functioning. People were concerned about the impact on Head Start, on Meals on Wheels, and other programs that help people get basic nutrition. I got a call from my DA in Worcester who was worried about the freezing of federal monies to combat domestic violence. Lots of confusion. And by the way, it was not just me hearing from people who were concerned. My Republican colleagues were hearing from people as well. They happened to be at the Trump resort, the Doral, Miami, spending money to help prop up Trump's failing business there for their issues retreat. And they were getting calls too, although none of them had the guts to say this was a bad thing to do, but they were privately telling Trump associates that he had reversed this. Ultimately, we had a federal judge put a stay on his freeze, and then they rescinded the memo. So here we are. And his press secretary said, even though he rescinded the memo, he just rescinded the memo, but he's still doing the freeze. So I don't even know what that means. But again, there'll be more court action in the coming days, and we'll see how it all plays out. But again, this is just chaos and confusion and fear. And I don't think this is what people voted for. Even those who supported Trump, I don't think this is what they wanted. People want certainty. They don't want to live in constant fear of what he might say or what he might do, and do so in a very thoughtless and careless way.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, does this pose a constitutional crisis as to who is in charge here? Is he simply testing the limits of the Constitution? And while a federal judge intervened, how many judges will it take, or are the judges going to also capitulate to the executive branch? And what can be done if this constitutional crisis is indeed underway?
Well, I do think it's setting us up for a constitutional crisis. I do think he's kind of testing his limits. I think he's trying to figure out, can he exhaust us all so they can get away with this? And I think he's looking maybe for a situation where he gets to the Supreme Court and he can call up his friends, Clarence Thomas and the others that he depends on to side with him on this stuff. You know, many of us warned about the threat to our democracy if he were to win. And we're seeing him trying to undercut our democracy, trying to undercut the Constitution, and to try to behave more like a king or a dictator than a president of the United States. And now he's joking about maybe running for a third term. And he's got a member of the Republican Party who's introducing a bill that would amend the Constitution to only allow Trump to run for a third term, so that like Obama couldn't run for a third term. It's scary stuff.
Wouldn't that be an interesting race, though?
Yeah, no, it would be. But we have to pay attention. And I think the plan that he has is to exhaust us, to get us to be moving, in a million different directions, to throw stuff at us every minute, every hour, every day. And I think we can't allow him to get away with anything that, quite frankly, will undercut our Constitution, will undercut our democracy.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, we have had a bunch of listener questions, some of which you've already answered. I'll just acknowledge Tom Bassett asked a question about keeping the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act money flowing and how to do it. I think that nobody really knows how this can happen now with these freeze memos in effect. Right. We did get an email question from Andrew Kennard, who's a PhD postdoctoral researcher at UMass Amherst, saying that he's a biologist at UMass and is very concerned about the opening shots of Trump's war against the NIH. The Trump administration has frozen indefinitely all meetings and communication from the NIH, in addition to the CDC and the FDA, including grant review panels, some of which he says were halted mid-session. If grant review panels can't meet, grants can't get funded. This could have devastating and long-term implications for the researchers at UMass and other colleges in Western Mass that rely on these public funds to do what he says is life-saving research. He then adds, on top of this, scientists have discovered that any information about NIH initiatives to increase diversity in the biomedical workforce have been surgically, pun intended, I guess, removed from the internet. We know that a diverse workforce is essential for the vitality and continued success of U.S. biomedical research. He wants to know, what can regular folks in Western Mass do to stand up for science, and what are the Democratic plans for resisting Trump's actions against the NIH? And again, that's Andrew Kennard, who's a PhD postdoctoral researcher at UMass Amherst.
No, he's right about all of his concerns. I mean, we're going to have to figure out, as we move on appropriation bills that have to be signed into law, whether we can add language that, in fact, will push back against his actions at NIH and against medical research. Look, on the DEI initiatives, I mean, Donald Trump made it very clear during the election that he wants to make America white again. And his obsession with DEI, and quite frankly, with the pushback not being what it should have been during the campaign, there are a lot of people out there who somehow think that a diverse workforce means that you have a workforce that is put together not based on merit, but just based on the color of your skin. It's such an offensive and insulting thing to believe, but yet that's what he has gotten out there. What we need to do is to help bring more people along, amongst our fellow citizens, that what Trump is doing is wrong. And I'm particularly concerned about the attack on NIH because, as you know, I have a daughter who's had some health issues, who's in a clinical trial, but it's an NIH-funded clinical trial. And, I thank God that was there and that research is continuing. But if all of a sudden medical research is going to be so politicized, so that it fits RFK's view of the world, whatever, I mean, then we're not going to get objective research and we're not going to find the cures to the diseases that still confound us. It's all very, very dangerous. Look, we're going to fight back everywhere we can. But the reality is that he is the president. The Republicans control the Senate, and they seem unwilling to cross him on anything. And the Republicans control the House narrowly, the smallest majority in about 100 years, but they still do. And so far, they've been very, very disciplined. So there's a way forward, but it's going to be difficult and it's going to be challenging. But at the end of the day, I am hopeful that we will find a way out of this mess.
Another listener question from Carolyn Asbury in Leiden, which also alludes to the constitutional crisis we may be experiencing in response to the 90-day intervention clause to prevent the banning of TikTok, which Congress approved the ban. The Supreme Court said this was a legal ban. Donald Trump comes in and unilaterally overrides that. Carolyn is also concerned about the 14th Amendment guaranteeing citizenship for people that are born here. She asks, why would an executive order overrule our Constitution?
Well, an executive order cannot overrule our Constitution. Again, I think that hasn't sunk in yet, and my hope is that the courts will affirm that fact. You know, if you were born here in this country, you are a U.S. citizen. I've been speaking to a number of churches, African churches and Hispanic churches in Worcester. People are frightened to death over all of the rhetoric on immigration. But one of the concerns that many of the parents raised to me was the fact that they heard Trump say that if you're born here, you're not a U.S. citizen, and they have children that were born here, and they're worried about that. And I assured them as much as I could that that is part of the Constitution. It's in the 14th Amendment, and don't worry about that. You can amend the Constitution, but that is an arduous process. But he can't do most of the stuff that he's putting forward in these executive orders, and we're going to, and I think the courts will hopefully will back us up on that. But we have to help some of our Republican friends get a backbone, because he could do a lot of damage to this country in a short period of time. And we need more of them to stand up with us. And I've been very disappointed at how many of them are just gone along to get along. And I'm really disappointed in the Speaker of the House, who's totally spineless. He should be defending the institution, especially in the aftermath of this freeze, and reminding the president about the importance of the legislative branch of government. And instead, he just sits there and nods like a good lapdog. And I think that's really sad for the institution.
You mentioned, Congressman McGovern, about potentially opening Guantanamo as a detention center that could house up to 30,000, I believe, migrants who have been already over the last couple of weeks been rounded up en masse, some for just the crime of speaking Spanish, some of whom have been rounded up even though they are Puerto Rican and are U.S. citizens and are being detained. There have been stories of Trump supporters whose wives have been snatched up in these raids and deported. Meanwhile, last weekend, there were tons of rumors that ICE was in Western Massachusetts. It seems that those rumors are unfounded. How will we in Western Mass know if there are ICE raids actively happening in Massachusetts? And what do you think, as our congressman, should happen if these ICE raids do start to happen in some of the locations that are likely for it to happen and where migrants are being housed here in Western Mass?
Well, people need to know their rights. They don't have to speak. They don't have to offer information. I mean, we have reports that, that kids aren't coming to school because of fear of ICE raids in schools. I've gotten calls from a number of churches who are concerned about a potential ICE raid at their churches. This is callous and this is cruel. Look, let me just say this. We all want secure borders. We all believe that, murderers and violent criminals, have no place in this country if they are here and they're not here legally. They should be put in jail, or they should be deported and put in jail in their home country. But the other reality is that immigrants help keep our economy running. I mean, in agriculture, in the hospitality industry, in home health care. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And if we're going to become such an unwelcoming place, and we're going to continue to betray our values, and if Donald Trump is even mildly successful in ridding this country of anybody who's an immigrant, you know what? It's going to mean your food prices are going to go up. It's going to mean you're not going to be able to get long-term care for your aging mother or father if they get sick. It's going to mean that businesses are going to close. I mean, we are stronger because of the immigrant community. And I'm really, really sick and tired of Trump trying to label this community as a bunch of criminals and murderers and rapists. I mean, the people who commit the most murders and rapes in this country are white men born in the United States of America. I mean, that's just a fact. So to demonize immigrants really is to diminish our country. We already have laws on the books, by the way, that criminals should be apprehended and punished accordingly and deported. So, I mean, we didn't have to pass another bill to do that. But let's stop demonizing people. I really fear that we're losing our souls here. And I think people, we all have to try to figure out a way to provide a circle of protection around people in our community who we know might be vulnerable. But I don't think we'll be coordinating with our local law enforcement or with our cities or our towns. I mean, what we're seeing is they're coming in and not letting anybody know. In some cases, not even providing warrants. And again, that's going to have to be worked out in our judiciary because that's just not right.
It's worth noting that crossing the border without papers was a civil infraction, but that the White House and the press secretary are reframing this as a crime. It was amounting before to like a speeding ticket. Now it is something that they're saying is criminal. So they are saying all of these migrants are criminals because they have crossed the border. That is not what the law currently states. It is, however, being reframed.
You want to know what a criminal looks like? The people who violently attacked the Capitol on January 6th and beat up 140 cops. That's what a criminal looks like. The people who wanted to kill members of Congress and their staff and who wanted to kill cops that day. That's what a criminal looks like. And Donald Trump pardoned them all. So I don't want to hear any lectures about law and order from anybody who is on the Trump team or who thinks that Trump is the right person to be president of the United States. That's what a criminal looks like. Not somebody who's taking care of your elderly mother, not somebody who's working in a kitchen washing dishes, not somebody who's working in a field picking crops so that we can all have, good food at a decent price. I mean,
many of whom are in the process of citizenship or trying to get a green card and are being interrupted by these raids in the process, doing exactly what they were told to do legally up until just a few weeks ago.
The number of people who are here legally right now, in terms because they're in process of applying for status, who have called our office and wondering whether they should cease their application or they're afraid that going in to provide the paperwork and the interviews that are being required of them will result in their automatic deportation.
Which did happen during the last Trump administration.
Right. The number of parents who are calling asking whether or not it's safe to send their kids to school. I mean, it's really heartbreaking. And again, we all want legal immigration. We all want our borders secure. We all want to make sure that rapists and murderers and violent criminals are taken off the street. No question on that. This is not what all of this is about. This is just about getting people who are not white, who don't fit Donald Trump's definition of what an American should look like. It's about trying to get them out of this country. And I'm telling you, we need more pushback from the business community. We need more pushback from the medical community. This is undercutting our strength, our economic vitality. If you succeed in this, Donald Trump, you are going to hurt our country.
I mentioned last week, Congressman, that I think during this time where it seems like we are in tumult, that the last question I'll ask you every week is what is giving you hope this week? So what is giving you hope this week, Congressman McGovern?
Well, I mean, yesterday I stopped at a food pantry in Athol and at a processing facility in Gardner where they're helping local farmers process their food so they can get it into schools and hospitals and other facilities and into the hands of people who, just want good food. And it reminds me there are a lot of good people in our community. In Athol yesterday, because of the snow, they had no school. And yet most of the volunteers were kids who go to school here. I mean, they decided they were going to get up and spend their whole day, helping at this food pantry. That's the stuff that gives me hope, Look, we're going to get frustrated about what's happening at the national level, and rightfully so, because there's a lot to be frustrated about. But the way to counter that is to do good things locally. We can't give up. We've got to keep on fighting, and we will, and we'll get through this. We'll get through this.
Our last comment comes from a regular questioner, listener of this show, and a notorious Valley activist, Pocky Wheeland, who does not have a question for you this week, Congressman, but simply wanted to say, keep fighting the good fight. We need you to hold the president and all accountable. You are standing for us, and we are standing with you. Courage, Pocky Wheeland.
Well, I appreciate that, and I love Pocky Wheeland. I also use her as an example of somebody who's fighting back. I mean, every day for justice here at home and justice and peace abroad. And she just doesn't give up. And so we all need to use her as our example and lift her up as somebody we ought to emulate. So that's a nice comment. I appreciate it.
If you have a comment, positive or negative, or a question for the congressman, you can send it our way, and we'll ask him next Thursday, thefab413@nepm.org. Thanks as always, Congressman.
All the best.
Here's hoping that the weeks don't continue to try to outdo each other for the rest of the year.
Well, lucky for all of us, art can be a bomb in trying times, and we've got a lot of it for the rest of the show, including a celebration of the Lava Center's 5th birthday.
And up next, the clever lines and beautiful sounds of Wallace Field and High Tea.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Window World of Western Mass, a local family-owned and operated complete exterior remodeling business offering windows, siding, gutters, and more. windowworldofwesternma.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. We have a double shot of live music Thursday for you. One, from the metaphorical ashes of a breakup to the literal ashes of a house fire, folk rocker Wallace Field rises like a phoenix from those ashes with her album All Costs. Trained as a journalist in college, which is why we're going to hire her for the NEPM News Department, Wallace Field expertly unfolds her journey through heartbreak, house fire, and healing. Field grew up right here in Western Mass. She's performed in popular Massachusetts venues like the legendary Club Passim in Cambridge, the Parlor Room in Northampton, Hollyoaks Ray Street Live. She's opened for acts like Nellie Mackay, Charlie Parr, and Heather Maloney, who'll be on the show tomorrow. She joins us now.
And two, High Tea, the indie folk rock duo hailing from all corners of Massachusetts, a concoction of sweepingly soulful harmonies and guitar riffs to knock your socks off with a refreshing blend, old blues and new pop. Guitarist, vocalist, songwriter Isabella DeHert and vocalist, percussionist Isaac Elliott have come together to fill spaces with homegrown storytelling. Their songs are ripe with Americana heartbreak and tell tales of growing up, growing wild, and always coming back to the ones you love.
They are both playing together at the Iron Horse tomorrow night, Friday, January 31st at 7 p.m. Let's play paper, rock, scissors for which band goes first. So, Isabella.
We thought we could fist fight, but we can do that.
Okay,
That's fine.
ready?
That's fine.
We know what instruments they can harm. It's a process of
First
this.
one wins. It's not best 2 out of 3. This is like Squid Game now all of a sudden.
Oh,
So-
I've never seen that.
The person
Don't
who
worry
wins
about
will
it.
go first.
Yes.
Yes,
All right,
okay.
Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ooh, baby.
Wallace Field goes
Field.
first. Rock beats scissors. Rock always wins, I should say.
No, that was last week. This week is for folk.
Okay.
Folk rock.
Yeah, there we go.
Best of both worlds. This is a new and unreleased song that I'll be playing with the full band at the Iron Horse, and it's called Lighthouse Men. Go ahead and be a lighthouse man. I know a coward when I see one. How can you warn the ships coming in when you can't get close to anyone? You're catching me off guard, I didn't see this coming. You're patting your hand down there on top of the mattress for me to come and sit. When I was seeing marriage, I'll spend the next week of my life in that bed. Feeling so nauseous and counting my losses, already knowing you'll make out like a bandit on all costs. Whatever we both know, it's your loss. So, go ahead and be a lighthouse man. I know a coward when I see one. How can you warn the ships coming in when you can't get close to anyone? I request one last dinner together, surrounded by all your mid-century furniture. You don't even make me the meal that I wanted. Isn't that a loss somewhere when you get electrocuted? I bring the centerpiece as a box of tissues. God, I'm gonna miss you now. I've lost my appetite, and I know you think no one can ever love you. Well, it's not true, 'cause I do, but go on, do you? Go ahead and be a lighthouse man. I know a coward when I see one. How can you warn the ships coming in when you can't get close to anyone? Standing on a distant shore, going through this once more for a second time. Guess I had to learn this lesson again. History repeats itself when you're not listening. So I'll just say to him, go ahead and be a lighthouse man. I know a coward when I see one. And when you get there, you'll meet an old friend. You'll have to swap stories of loving and running, loving and running and loving and running and loving and running away. Loving and running and loving and running and loving and running away. Hey, hey, hey. Loving and running and loving and running and loving and running away. Loving and running and loving and running and loving and running away. Hey, hey, hey. Ooh.
Field live in the fabulous 413 and playing the Iron Horse tomorrow night, Friday, January 31st. Was that about the Robert Eggers movie with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe?
One thing about me is I haven't seen it. Whatever you're asking if I've seen or
It's called The Lighthouse.
I haven't
and I like
seen
the
it.
whole time you're singing this like song, really fiery and angry, and I love it song. I'm thinking about Willem Dafoe.
I'll Google that later.
Okay,
It's
yeah. You have to have a Nosferatu song coming up next because that's his most recent movie.
you
Something
don't.
you don't know about Chelsea's music is it's all based on Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, right.
Look,
movies and filmography.
Everybody's got to have a thing.
Yeah.
And if yours is Willem Dafoe, then that's fine.
I can't wait to hear the Last Temptation of Christ song.
Oh, no.
You have to stand for something.
I mean, at least you went there and not to any of the Lars von Trier stuff. So
Oh
that's,
yeah, that's
like,
right.
Yay, bonuses. I guess I wanted to, before all that happened, how did this co-bill come about?
We're friends and we love each other's music.
Aw.
We've played together. We opened for Wallace Field's album release at the Parlor Room 2 years ago, I believe, or about a year and a half ago. Yeah. And we shared a bill previously to that at a songwriters round with Kimaya Diggs at Hawks and Reed. And our creative paths have crossed many times, but recently we've become really good friends as well and like eaten dinner together and hung out and just like gabbed. And I think that from that comes some really fun artistic collaboration. So we're excited to share the bill together.
And I think that's just so inherent, too, of our music scene here in the Valley. It's just your friends are your peers, and your peers are your friends. And, I know we've talked about this a lot as well, and Isaac, that we have such a collaborative spirit here in our music scene, and it's not competition-based at all. So we're always looking to, who can we share the stage with, who can jump on this bill, or sharing resources and things like that. And that's what I think the show will be a celebration of tomorrow night.
You are all deeply connected to the Valley music scene and have been for many years, even though you're all very young musicians, if I don't mind saying.
Oh, well, thanks so much.
What does the return of the Iron Horse mean to you? How did it loom in your, in your very young minds as budding performers, and what does it mean now that it's back now almost for a year?
Yeah, because I know, Isabella, you played there before the
As a
shutdown,
true
but I'm not
young
sure if Wallace Field, if you had.
No, I've never.
So this is your
your
first one?
first.
Yeah,
Woo-hoo!
first horse.
Yeah, nice.
It's fun. That stage sounds great when you're on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played as a kid with Calliope Jones. We opened for the Neils many times. And I think that stage, that venue, is just iconic. And the people who now run it are so kind and just have the heart and the soul of the music industry and community at the core of what this venue is. And it's also just an awesome venue. I mean, the updates that Chris Freeman has done to it are astounding. There are multiple bathrooms on the first level.
First
more
thing everybody
scary
always
ghost
says.
bathroom.
You don't have to like rock climb your way into it anymore. And the stage is beautiful and the sound is great. And just we are all so grateful to him and to the Parlor Room team for making this a reality again and bringing it back.
I'm going to point out that the first thing I said was, oh, crap, that wall is gone.
Yeah.
So true.
That's true.
So true.
Well, they will be at the Iron Horse tomorrow. Isabella DeHerd and Isaac Elliott as High Tea are in the studio with us. Let's hear a High Tea song as they get ready to play with Wallace Field tomorrow at the Horse.
All right. We're going to sing a song for you called Get in Trouble. This is a fun double whammy as we will be playing it tomorrow night, and it will also be a song on the new Calliope Jones record coming out in April.
Ooh, Calliope
So-
Jones still in action. I love
Oh,
it.
we are in action. We have a little Iron Horse announcement coming next week as well that I will not spoil yet.
Stay tuned.
But
I
I,
mean,
think
you
you might
kinda
be
just
able to
spoiled-
figure out
you
what
just-
it is. All right. Little white house on a cobble drive, got a snow blowing lawn mowing man by her side. A picket fence was never quite her vibe. She sees it every morning. A PTA mom with the best dang bakes, never late to a meeting, never late to a game. And her dad-in-law says she's got the prettiest face. She sees it every morning. She buys all the groceries, she makes all the food, and her friends say she's always in a real good mood, but she never says a word, she's been told her too rude. Every single morning, she fights the urge to put a drop of poison in her husband's drink. Declare herself hysterical just to see a shrink. To change her name, her hair, her clothes, throw her ID down the sink. Those are just normal morning thoughts. she thinks. Get in trouble, drag race your soul down the streets. Going feral, let that fire be free. And don't you let them pull you down. No, 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 don't you let them run you out. No, steal it all and blow this town. She goes to book club on Friday. She drinks a lot of wine and she tries not to think about the life she said was fine. See, it is. She swears to God it is hard to get up in the morning, so she washes it down and she powers through. She tries not to think about the girl she once knew. She can still sometimes see her on the mirror looking through, getting dimmer every morning. So she fights the want to drive her SUV into the lake, or to get into an argument just so she can punch somebody's face, lose a few teeth and bleed just so she can taste. Get in trouble, drag race your soul down the street. Going feral, let that fire burn free. And don't you let them run you down. No, 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 don't you let them pull you out. No, steal it all and blow this town. Oh, yeah. And some night she says she's gonna take a long walk, and she goes, sees the cashier at the store down the block. See, her name is Rita. She thinks she's hot. She wants to see her in the morning. And Rita says, girl, you gotta get out of your head. No one's gonna show you how to break your own bread. And if Jesus were here, he'd say we end up dead. Don't give them all your mornings. Get in trouble. Get in trouble. Get in trouble. Get in. I say get in trouble. Get in trouble. Yeah, get in trouble. Get in what? Get in where? Get in trouble. Get in trouble. Yeah, get in trouble. Get in. Get in. Get in trouble. Get in trouble. Get in trouble. Get in. Get in.
Woo!
We love trouble in high tea world.
That is high tea. We're playing the Iron Horse tomorrow night, Friday, January 31st.
It's so much more fun to write songs about conflicts than
Yeah.
it is to write about just being happy.
And if that were a
Fun
Willem
conflict.
Dafoe movie, it's somewhere between Poor Things and Kind of Kindness, I guess.
Exactly. You get it. You get the artistic
I'm trying. Yeah,
vision.
it was hard not to then let my mind go to that after our original conversation.
Really?
It's actually-
It's not Thelma and Louise?
Well,
Oh, the title of it is based on actually a local author's book. Kelly Link wrote
yeah.
a story compilation called Get in Trouble, and I was writing this song, and I saw that book on my shelf, and that is where the title comes from.
Oh, that's
where the hook came
amazing.
from. Yeah,
Kelly
so
Link, who
another
has
local connect.
a bookstore in East Hampton, and
Moon, yeah.
yeah, fabulous author we've had on the show before as well.
Indeed. And her short fiction's fantastic.
Yeah. So good. What's in store? I know there's a hint about Calliope Jones coming back in action, which is great. What about you and Wallace Field? Anything exciting in the 2025 for the world of Wallace Field?
2025, I think I'm just kind of taking a beat. I've been writing a lot of songs and in the early stages of my sophomore record, trying to figure out which songs should go on the album, and really just taking my time and waiting to see which songs really speak to me the most. I'm not in a total rush, and also neither is my wallet.
Right. And Isaac, you and High Tea will be going out with our guest tomorrow for Live Music Friday, Heather Maloney, right?
Oh, yeah. We're going to be touring all over, and we'll be with her at the Iron Horse next week. I think there are like a few tickets
There were
left.
But
4
just
tickets
for
left
Friday,
when we
because
left.
Saturday is
Yeah.
already sold
Got
out.
two shows, yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry.
But there's a host of other places that you can see. Heather just
so
not
true.
at the Iron Horse
Yes.
because those tickets are I mean, always check at the door because people don't show up and people don't do things. But maybe you should make other plans.
And maybe you High Tea should just stay here for 24 hours until Heather Maloney's here, and then you can back up Heather Maloney on Live Music Friday as well.
There's a lot of space under this desk for us to just sleep until tomorrow.
You'd be
morning.
surprised.
You're welcome to it.
You're like, I'm well acquainted. But yeah, we'll be with Heather, and we're working on an album that will be coming out this fall. So
oh, congratulations!
Lots of things happening.
That's so great. Well, thank you for this double shot of Live Music Thursday with High Tea and
Always a
Wallace
pleasure.
Field, who are going to be at the Iron Horse tomorrow night in an incredible double bill, Friday, January 31st, to say farewell to the first month of 2025.
And good
riddance to bad rubbish.
Good riddance. And be on the lookout for all new music that they're going to be putting out very soon.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
As always, get tickets and more information for High Tea and Wallace Field's show in Northampton tomorrow, January 31st at ironhorse.org.
We saved the party for last, so let's go celebrate in Greenfield Center with Vanessa Query of the Lava Center.
Easier to stumble home that way. You're
That's
listening
right.
to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping customers make the switch to solar for savings, energy security, and tax incentives. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
We are at the Lava Center in Greenfield,
It's so hot in here.
where the floor is lava!
The floor is lava.
No, that would be a totally different type of experience.
Straight to the Earth's core.
Not an experience that I would be averse to, because there's a big couch that we could jump on and a coffee table, and we're sitting around the little cafe chairs and tables in this big space right on Main Street in downtown Greenfield at that main intersection. What's your name?
Vanessa Query. I am the manager of the space.
The Lava Center is celebrating its 5th anniversary this weekend with all sorts of different programming going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then continuing on as your 5th anniversary year rolls around. But let's start out with the name, the Lava Center. Why are you the Lava Center?
We are the Lava Center because LAVA is an acronym, is that the right word?
Yep.
Thank you, for Local Access to Valley Arts. The original name of our nonprofit organization, which was started in Seattle in 1990 by Jan Mayer, was Local Access. It's like a Seattle thing. So she's just had this nonprofit ever since. And when we brought it here and registered it as a foreign corporation in Massachusetts, there was already a local access, so we couldn't be local access, but we had to be something like local access. Local access DBA something something. This is all the bureaucratic stuff.
LADBA doesn't sound as cool.
No.
Well, I don't know, lad, but
DBA?
it's pretty metal.
I was thinking local access Greenfield, but then lag.
Yeah.
Not so much. So then we just thought of, I'm not sure where it came from originally. Jane credits me. I don't remember thinking of it. But anyway, local access to Valley Arts equals lava. Then we have puns of, creativity erupting and arts flowing.
So you started in 2020 here in Greenfield, and something happened that year.
Yeah, so we started the original idea in summer of 2019, and we spent the next 6 months doing all the planning and securing the space and all that stuff. And then we had a big grand opening on January 31st, 2020. And there was a lot of people here. There was a big buzz. It was just this burgeoning of creativity and stuff. And then 5 weeks later, everything went away. So we had 5 weeks of really good energy building, and then it stopped. And then we
Like
had
every good volcano, goes dormant for a little bit.
But we did manage to re-erupt.
No, keep this metaphor going.
I love it.
We do like to roll with
The
this
metamorphic.
Nicely done. So we re-erupted online. That year we did 2 short play festivals on Zoom. We started doing monthly meetups for poets and writers and playwrights and a book club. And then eventually, later that year, we were able to reopen, but we couldn't have performances, which was going to be our focus. So then that's when the gallery, pardon the pun, took center stage. And then slowly we started having more events. Basically, we reopened and then closed and then reopened, and then just this slow climb. And I'd always heard, give a new business 3 years. But our 3rd year kind of felt like our first. So then this is our third year, I guess. So we're good.
We're at the Lava Center in Greenfield on Main Street with the manager, Vanessa Query, and we're surrounded by a timeline of all of the stuff over the last 5 years as Lava will celebrate its 5th anniversary this weekend. Gallery shows, playwrights, music, theater, humanities, film, writers and words, and too far away from me on my reading.
Improv and open mic.
There we go. One of the things that you are particularly enthused about, Vanessa, is the film aspect of stuff. So talk about how film has made its way to the Lava Center.
Yeah, so I came here having done a lot of film stuff and run a couple film festivals in the past, so I wanted to do that here. And we got the opportunity in 2021 to do another online event, online film festival, through a grant from Mass Cultural Council. Then in 2022, we did our first in-person one, and just this past year, we finished our 4th. And each one has been funded by Mass Cultural Council, which has been amazing. And yeah, that's kind of my baby. And one of the things I love about the film festival is that it brings people from all over the state, but a lot from here too. One of the focuses of our film festival is anything goes in terms of experience level and age and all of that, So we say we're really from students to professionals and everyone in between. And so we've had filmmakers who are very accomplished and make movies that look like real movies. And then we have kids doing stop motion films. And then again, everyone in between. And it's so cool to have everyone in the room and everyone's just really into each other's work.
I know your focus is film, but the Lava Center clearly does a lot of various arts, both visual and performing. How has your film experience informed how you interact with those other things that the center does?
Actually, my background is in theater.
It's close.
Just to be pedantic. So much of theater work is organizing work and is running event work, because you're doing the creative part of it, the acting, directing, writing, but then you're also doing the stage management, and there's house management and box office stuff. And so I've done all of that. I've also worked in nonprofit development, so I kind of bring just this overall sense of organizing events. So it's really about, for me, managing the space and having the space available for all different types of events. We've got the stage lights for stage readings. We've got the projection, of course, for the film stuff. We have mics and stands for music and lots of chairs and tables.
We're celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Lava Center, local access to Valley Arts, right here on Main Street in Greenfield with the manager, Vanessa Query. In the 5-year history, there is an important person who just passed away who was instrumental in helping to get this off the ground and sustain it.
Yeah, Lucinda Kidder was really the first founder of this space. She had found the space and wanted to do something with it.
It's right on the corner. It's right near the bank, but it is kind of in the heart of right in downtown Greenfield, right across from where the farmers market is on the Common, right near City Hall.
Yeah, right next to the Pushkin,
right.
So Hawks and right across from Hawks and Reed. There's so much happening right here in this intersection.
The Dock and Witch right there that I close down often.
Right at the heart of Greenfield.
We've had after parties there for sure.
Karaoke Tuesday nights.
All right, good to know. So Lucinda, who had started Silverthorne Theater years ago, she found this space during one of her Silverthorne retirements.
No one ever really leaves.
Pull me back in. I had met Lucinda when I was working in Hawks and Reed. We reconnected a couple of years later. She told me about the space, and I said, hey, sign me up. Then she found Jan, who had a nonprofit. So Lucinda was, instrumental. The space wouldn't be here without her. And then she got sick. And again, she was still involved. She was a powerhouse, this woman. She was like, yeah, I have stage 4 cancer. I'm going to still help you move, shelving. Here, I'm going to donate, this bookshelf. You want me to help you? No, I got it. So, she's just lifting heavy things throughout the whole thing. It was really, she was amazing and really inspiring for that. Just to just do the stuff, just do it.
What are some of the things that are going to be happening this weekend to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Lava Center?
On Friday, from 5 to 8, we're going to have a reception for this exhibit. So, our exhibit for the month of February is the history of lava, photos, and memorabilia. We're also going to have an art-making table for adults or kids or whoever wants to show up. And then we'll have live music by Vamana, a local band. They'll be playing 6 to 8. And then Saturday at noon, we're going to have the Farley String Band playing. And then at 2, we're going to have another reception for an anthology that some of our volunteers who are writers and publishers have put together, The Valley and Beyond, a Writer's Read anthology. And then we're going to have an improv workshop, 4:30 to 6:30. And then we're going to have an open stage at 7. Now, open stage is like an open mic. But the idea is anything that can be staged, literature, music, but also like theater, sketches, improv, puppetry, sideshow, juggling, get and dance, anything you want to do. On Sunday at 1 p.m., we were going to have First Sunday Word, which is formerly Third Tuesday Word, which is Paul Richmond's long-running literary open mic and featured writer event.
I believe Paul Richmond is still the Beat Poet Laureate of the U.S.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, he's a shoo-in.
There's not a lot of people that are pining for that necessarily, so just hold on to it as long as you can.
Is it just that no one's challenged him for the throne yet?
I mean, he is.
That's fine. It's cool.
He's good at it. Oh, yeah.
He's a great poet.
Yeah.
He's really funny and very talented and a publisher and has been doing this for so long, and it's really great to have him involved with our stuff.
Your tenure in the building and as an organization here mostly started online. How much of your programming now is still online for people who aren't very close to Greenfield or can't make it to Greenfield?
I'm kind of zoomed out personally.
Yeah.
But we do have a monthly book club. We have a monthly playwright circle, actually twice monthly playwright circle now. That's gotten so successful. They meet twice a month. Mm-hmm. A monthly poets and writers cafe, which is just, it's more casual format. People just kind of hang out and share stuff or just chat. In addition to that, when we have live events, specifically like our play readings, we almost always film it and then put it online. And that's for accessibility, to reach both people who can't or don't want to come out, and then also so you can get closed captioning.
Vanessa Query, you thought you were going to get out of this interview without me bringing this up, but you know that my favorite thing about you is your relationship to Ted Neely and Jesus Christ Superstar. Can you talk a little bit about that before we end our conversation about the Lava Center?
Right, so Ted Neely was
Jesus Christ on stage longer than Jesus Christ, the historical figure, was allegedly alive.
We make
Unless you're counting still, he's alive.
I mean, basically the joke that we'd had was if Jesus were alive, this is what he'd be doing. He'd be touring. And then there's the line, like, feels like 30 years, feels like 90 years.
Yeah.
Seems like 90.
I'm no longer working with Ted. But yeah, he was a client of mine for a long time. And most of the cast have been clients of mine for various things. I actually still work regularly with Larry Marshall, who played Simon Zealots.
Christ, you know I love you. Did you see our way?
I run his website, larrymarshall.net.
Jesus Christ Superstar, still top tier musicals for me.
I love the photos of you. Sometimes they still pop up for me on Facebook. And
I got to meet Ted Neely across the street at Hawks and Reed. It was like a dream come true.
I love it because it's such a weird, got this cult following.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like a religion.
Yeah, it's almost like a religion. People actually feel like he's Jesus. Yeah. I mean, I've witnessed some fans go and he
just leans into it.
We're on radio, which means you can't see that Vanessa has spread their arms out like Jesus.
Almost crucified, but more like welcoming in the little lambs unto me.
It's a bring it in.
Like bring it in. See the photos. Jesus Christ.
Superstar.
When you see paintings of Jesus on the Mount giving the sermon, that sort of spread.
Right, yeah. All the things we forgot about what Jesus said.
Exactly.
Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Outside, after your 5th anniversary celebration, what's the next thing that people can look forward to at the Lava Center?
So we have actually been closed since mid-December. We take a, midwinter break. So this, in addition to our birthday party this weekend, it's our grand reopening for the year. So starting next week, we'll go back to our regular weekly gallery hours. There's a storytelling open mic and potluck that happens on first Thursdays. There'll be a film night on second Thursdays, open stage on third Thursdays, also a story circle on second Fridays, theater of ideas, community conversations event, third Fridays, writers read on second Wednesdays. I'm going to leave some out.
Check their website for more.
thelavacenter.org and The Lava Center on Facebook and Instagram, but not X.
X isn't a thing. It's still Twitter, and it's still bad.
Yeah. The Lava Center's 5th birthday weekend extravaganza happens to coincide with Greenfield's 103rd Winter Carnival, so there is an awful lot to do in the Franklin County seat this weekend.
Find the full schedule of Lava Center events at thelavacenter.org.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Welcome back to the Fabulous 413.
For a hot minute.
I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. I'm trying to talk myself out of going to a cribbage tournament.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a cribbage tournament as part of the Winter Carnival in Greenfield that I found out about when I looked at their schedule.
There's a person that I know who makes custom-made cribbage boards in
I
Greenfield,
did not
and they
need
are
that
gorgeous.
information.
He must be the person behind this cribbage tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I just want to go and test my skills out because I love cribbage so much.
Yeah. I've never played cribbage.
I can easily teach you.
Okay.
I taught my partner, I taught my roommates. We used to play threesies, which is a crazy, crazy thing because you're usually supposed to play it in two. But when you throw in a third person, all things go off the rails and it's hilarious.
That's my kind of game.
There you go.
It's also from the Winter Carnival. We did have on some historians from the Greenfield Historical Society who had a silent film that was taken 100 years ago.
During
the Winter Carnival.
Yeah.
So it's fun that it's still happening. And Greenfield is still
103 years later.
Yeah, a happening place.
Yeah, so much fun to do this weekend there. But on the next Fabulous 413, we're getting you ready for the days of Black history ahead as we head to UMass to hear how the creative Black community is coming together to share resources and ideas at the Black AF Festival with PhD candidate Imani Wallace.
And we're celebrating a new release from a familiar Valley voice as Heather Maloney joins us for Live Music Friday in honor of her new album, Exploding Star, and we'll get a glimpse into the loss and reclamation that kindled the album's start.
And I'm excited to talk to her about the print that I got because I gave to the Kickstarter full disclosure, and I have no idea what it actually means. And January is basically over, so we head to Table and Vine where Michael Quinlan breaks our dry spell with our first Thunderdome of the year because it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a long time. Mm-hmm. We leave you with Heather Maloney. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Clea Smith. We'll see you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.
Of your